What's going on, everybody? It's one charming man. Just with a quick little update on my videos. I've been streaming kind of for a few days now, and I've been kind of figuring out what to do and whatnot. And I've kind of found a thing I want to start doing on my channel. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be playing some Fortnite, and I'm going to be reviewing some of my favorite movies, albums, and maybe even some books every now and then. So basically, check me out if you like this. If you dig the way people play video games and talk, then I'm going to be doing that. So welcome to my first review. This is going to be my first review of something while I am, playing games. And I'm going to be reviewing the album K.O.D. And for those of you who are reading this, I'm sorry, watching this rather, K.O.D. is the new album by J.Cole. And it is sort of a response, if you will, to some of the disses and the overall state of hip hop when it comes to the what's popular right now, like in the genre. It's like kind of a response to the whole like Lil Pump, the SoundCloud generation, if you will. And I think it's also a huge response to the death of Lil Peep and more or less, like, the real big problem, which I think a lot of people are not really highlighting with this album, is that, drugs have become a huge part of the rap community. Not that they never have been before, but I think that it's gotten even worse than it used to be, because I'm starting to feel like rap is based on how much drugs you do, not exactly how good of a musician you are or how much money you're making. That's something that I really see, because I understand that emotional rap is very in right now, and that it's something that a lot of rappers are not using, but kind of like, they're not afraid to show it. I think that egos were a thing not too long ago when it came to the rap game, and I think that people were a little too prideful to show some of their, like, I guess you could say, more sensitive side, and we're starting to see a shift in trends. So, J. Cole's K.O.D. is a response to this notion. It's a response to all of this, and you can tell that the album is very intelligently made. It's not that a lot of other projects are unintelligently made, but it's definitely clear that it comes from a very intelligent mind, and I think that J. Cole is one of the smarter rappers. And I don't mean that in terms of like, oh, like these rappers are dumb. I just mean, like, he definitely wants to show off a little bit more of his intellect in his rhymes as opposed to the clout. Sorry about that. Hold on. And overall, I think that the album, as a concept, is a very good thing to have, because you have so many artists that are willing to basically make their albums, anything that they have, they'll make it about drugs. You'll see drugs in album covers. You'll see drugs in videos. You'll see drug songs. See drugs in the names of these titles and whatnot. And I think that that's fine. I think whatever is in is going to be in. Just the same way, like, chilling out, maxing, relaxing was something in the 90s. Every era is going to have, something that is, like, popular. And I feel like that's it this time around. And some people have told me, as someone who likes rap, like they've asked me, how do I feel about it being so popular, like drugs and whatnot, and I tell them, I feel the same way you might feel about country being about Jesus, or let's just say, like, I don't know, pop music being about breaking up and stuff like that. I feel like it's very it goes with hand in hand with the motions of the people in the genre, because if you really think about it, like, we're coming from that era where it was like, the 50 Cent, the mid 2000s was very clout based. Everything was either about your gangster rap or your money, your worth. And then all of a sudden, now in this 2010s era, we're coming to a close, we're starting to see a lot of very emotional rappers that are getting their name just by basically being a mess. And I don't mean to say anybody out there is like doesn't have their stuff together, but I mean, a lot of these rappers just like they kind of base their own character on being kind of like, loopy, if you will. And that's fine, and I think that a lot of people know that's fine, and they like rappers that do that because they like the weirdness of it. But that's just my little preamble to K.O.D. It's time to get to the review. Now, like, first things first is that the intro was very The intro was very interesting. It was. Hold on, I'm having a little bit of difficulties with this stream. It's going a little slow. Might have to restart it right now. Speaking of intros, I really think that the intro was very thematic, I guess, for lack of better words. Like, it was very haunting, to be honest with you. It was very haunting. It was cold, but it was at the same time it had a lot of like warm instrumental. But as far as I remember having like a beat, and then like basically there's this girl who's telling you like, oh, K.O.D, and all this, and it's a pretty good intro, I think. I'm a huge fan of concept albums, whether that's hip hop or not, And oh my god, the mad scramble for the weapon. I think that it was definitely a pretty good intro. It set the tone for a lot of the album, I think, and that's always very crucial to making something. I think it's like a huge part when it comes to being able to I don't know how to explain it. Like, it set the tone, yeah, like set the tone. So then the next track is K.O.D. Yes, and one of my favorite tracks on the album. The beat. The album starts off and you kind of think it's gonna be kind of like a jazzy type thing, and then immediately we get this like digital sounding bass, like and it's so heavy and it feels so digital, for lack of better words. It feels so like, I don't know how to explain it. It just sounds like it's man-made. It doesn't sound like a warm kind of bass that you would get off of a old school like 4-string thing. I feel like with this is more like it sounded like like FL Studio or something like that, and I think this is part of the album. It's a bit of a satire on the hip hop industry right now, because he uses the same instruments and he kind of has like the same flows, and we'll get into that when we talk about Motivate. But it's clear what he's trying to do, and it's like some people have said they don't like it because they think Cole should be doing his own thing and that he shouldn't be wasting his time, wasting his breath on these guys. But I think it's very important, because a lot of these people that are like huge J. Cole supporters, they don't realize that not only are people like Lil Pump and rappers of that nature not only are they very popular, but they're very popular within the youngest crowds. So it's almost like Cole feels like he has to basically teach these kids how to like live, for lack of a better word, So that's definitely something that I think is commendable. I wouldn't blame him for that. Oh gosh, I'm lagging. So in this song right here, K.O.D, some of the lyrics that I really like the chorus. And this is what you call a flip. 10 keys for a chord break. I thought the way he flows. I think a lot of people don't realize that J. Cole is a master at making these hooks out of nowhere, out of thin air. And I feel like Cole has like a very unique ability in which like he's not like Drake, where it's like these hooks are catchy. He creates his own hooks. Like, it could be something about like a napkin, and then he'll be just like, napkin, you need a napkin, napkin, you need a napkin. Listen, and then Cole will go in, because he's just that melodious with his, with his music. The next track is Photograph, and Photograph is another one of my favorites. I really thought that the album was flowing very well up to this point, and so it does after this as well. But this is when I began to feel the album come together, and I was like, okay, he's starting to paint this picture. So Photograph is a very romantic song almost, and you can tell it's about like the digital landscape of love right now. What I would take from the story is that he sees somebody, a very attractive woman on Instagram or some of the social media, and he's just like fall in love with her, and he wants to shoot his shot, but he doesn't. The notion of this is just so accurate to real life, love, and every guy knows like the struggle where you don't know if someone is single online and social media. and you don't know if they're sending out thirst traps on their like social media, and that's something that like throws off a lot of guys. And I know because I was like very much like had a huge crush on somebody, and they would post a lot of things that said like they hate men and stuff like that. Like a year later, they're with this guy like calling him daddy and stuff like that. And I really wish I would have said something. And I kind of feel like, that anxiety of not knowing if you're gonna shoot your shot and get bricked, as he says, is definitely captured here. And the essence is captured perfectly. I really like it. Call me misogynistic if you think that I think women are like materials, because I don't. I'm just saying like women are gorgeous. After this we get the cutoff. Now this is where the cutoff has let me have to restart this. This is where the cutoff gets this is where Kill Edward comes in. Now a lot of people have speculated as to what Kill Edward is and all that stuff like that. I think it's quite obvious who Kill Edward is. It's like an alter ego, but it's not just an alter ego. It's like I don't know. It's like an alter ego of what I think J. Cole is saying is his weak side. You know what I mean? Because he's always like, Kill Edward sounds so stressed out, for lack of better words. Like, give me dope, give me smoke. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's like when I hear Kill Edward or Cole as Kill Edward, I feel like he's trying to like show off his like sensitive side, but not sensitive, more like his vulnerable side. We're gonna. And so basically, I liked it. I like the idea. I definitely like the voice he uses. I think it's very appropriate. Like, it does sound like someone who's like in the struggle, if you will. And yeah, that was a pretty solid track. ATM is next, and ATM is like the single, bar none. It's obvious, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. Every album needs to have their single. Even my album has a single, and it's like, I think that I like J. Cole when he has his singles, but I definitely think this song overstays its welcome as a single, because it's just so like count it up. It was like, oh, okay, you might as well. It's like making a song that says "shake that." You know what I mean? It's just so like generic, and I love Cole, and I get that this is a satire. I get it, but I still personally just like find it annoying. Even though the what do you call it? The music video. I'm sorry, I forgot the director's name, but I follow him on Instagram. He's very talented. Not the director, but the co-director, sort of, with Cole. Great visuals, and I love that he's using the whole overly colorful, out of focus type like videos as like a way to like basically make fun of it. Like he's using it as a basis to try and like shit on it, more or less. And like I like it. I think it's appropriate. I think that he has a right as an artist to basically complain about what his other artists are doing, and more or less this is where ATM is the one that like I think it makes it as clear as possible. He literally says it, so much money, you can't take it when you die, but you can't live without it. It's true. It's true. He's right. What he's saying is true, and I appreciate that he's an artist that is saying that. Oh god. Oh my god, I lost that one. So, ATM, pretty good track. Then the next track is another one of my favorites is Motivate. Now, Motivate is what I consider to be the true diss on the entire album. We'll talk about 1985, parentheses, intro to the fall off. But, Motivate is the real diss track. I mean, it's as clear can be. A lot of rappers take offense to people stealing their flows. I'm not one of those rappers, and I don't think it's something that you should be offended about, because to say that, you know, unless you're like literally doing it like this, and I'll get into it, then it shouldn't be a problem. But if you look at this motivate, he says it just exactly like Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang. He just says like motivate, 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 motivate. And it's clear that, to me at least, that it's just a huge diss to like trap choruses, you know, like they're weak, you know. It's just like, you know, I mean, there's always like, there's only like 5 words that they use, and then it's repeated. That's it, you know. It's just 5 words. You're limited to like 5 words, and then you repeat, and then you go to your verse, and your verse, you know, and you recycle. And that's obvious, you know, that he was making fun of the genre with this one. And Motivate was the one, and that's how, in my opinion. Then after this, we get another single, sort of. It's just more or less one of the songs that you could tell he paid a lot of attention to. Kevin's Heart, which is, I'm not sure if it's exactly based on the event that occurred, but I know for a fact that Kevin Hart makes an appearance in the video, so it must tie into kind of what happened. For those of you who do not know, Kevin Hart is a very popular comedian, and he was caught being, you know, unfaithful to his wife. And, you know, basically J. Cole raps this whole song about, like, you know, the temptations of being on the road and being very popular and having to not cheat even though it's so tempting. And, you know, the sincerity of J. Cole comes across very well to me. I thought, you know, he sounded like a real nice guy. Like, he's really just trying to, like, you know, be like, you know what, like, I am faithful, but I have problems sometimes, especially when it's, like, with someone that's gorgeous. So, like, I was able to get that, like, notion. I think he should have died earlier. That guy right there. Just saying. Oh, God. I don't have anything. I thought I had something. And the song itself is really nice, though. Like, the instrumental. And I like, you know, the way J. Cole says, you know, all a dude know how to do is mess a good thing up, you know what I mean? I'm like, damn, like, that's what's up. Like, he really knows, like, when guys make mistakes, man, like, we really do. And I know firsthand, Cole. And so yeah, I thought it was very sincere track, and that's what I like to hear in music, very sincere. I feel like a lot of the music that's out right now is like, it's like overly produced, so it doesn't sound very sincere. But that's just my thoughts on that and that song. I thought it was very nice. One of my friends told me that he didn't like the song anymore because he felt the music video was cheesy. I didn't think the music video was all that great, but I definitely got like the vibe from it. Like, I got the vibe. Like, it was just kind of like a weird rom-com video, and it's not it's not cheesy, but it's not the most unique thing I've seen. I think it was just fine. I mean, it was directed really well. All the shots looked well. It was acted really well, and J. Cole had a good cameo in it. Well, that's that. Next is everybody's favorite song, at least all the people that I know, is Brackets. Now, I know that Cole even said it himself, that he liked Brackets a lot. Well, I don't want to be a dick or anything, but I kind of thought the song sucked. And I'm a huge Cole fan. I thought this was like one of the worst songs, but I'm glad that he likes it, and I have my opinion about it. That doesn't mean that it's not a bad song. I just thought it didn't sound that good. I just thought it didn't sound that pleasant. I thought out of all the songs that he had on here, it was just sort of like the standard Cole track, you know? Like, and I think there's artists that I like their standard tracks. Like, for example, Earl Sweatshirt can drop like a track that's like a minute and a half, and it's just like the most bare bones beat, and I'll still like it because I just like him as an artist like a lot. But with Cole, I was just sort of like annoyed, and I don't mean to say that in a bad way, but it's just that I feel like Cole's best when he's making a statement, when he's saying like folding clothes, when he's like, you know, when he's telling you that, you know, his heart is messed up, when he's telling you about his life story. That's when I truly feel J. Cole shines. And I feel like a song like Brackets is just sort of like I'm just gonna talk about random shit for like in a little bit. And yes, I know it's about like the money and the education system and the money that goes into it and the money that goes out of it, more or less the money that doesn't go to it. But still, you know, one of those things can be clear. Those things can be clearer, I think, with other means of making a song. And you know, that's why I just didn't think Brackets was all that impressive. And you know, that's not a knock on it, on the album. It just didn't resonate with me, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I really don't. So that's why I'm like, oh. So the next track is Once an Addict, which is an interlude. Now I have to say this. I do not remember this track a lot. I remember this track a decent amount. I remember liking it a lot. I thought it was pretty solid. Let me hear it a little bit. I have to remember it. Oh, okay, yeah. I thought this track was I thought it was very good. It is an interlude. It's not a song you put on and you spark up. It's not a song that you put on and you're like, hey man, check out this hot ass song. Nah, this is an interlude, and it has such a good place in this album and I don't mean like it's filler like in a bad way. I mean this is good filler. This is like filled to the concept. It's kind of like a track like if you listen to Pink Floyd and you hear In the Flesh, it comes in between Another Brick in the Wall and part 2 and part 1. So I feel like this is one of those tracks where it's like this comes in between part 2 and part 1, and the next track is Friends, which is featuring K.O.D again, the alter ego of J. Cole as mentioned. And I'm gonna tell you, these last 3 tracks kind of go hand in hand. They all felt like one long blur, and that's Friends, Window Pane, parentheses outro, and finally 1985 parentheses intro to the fall off, and we'll get to that track right now. But for Window Pane and Friends, I felt like they were very tied together, and it was a little bit more of like the Cole that I think we're all used to, like your horns and like your big New York drums and stuff like that. I definitely think that those are good tracks, but I have to say that when it comes to the tempo, I really truly feel like it kind of loses itself. The album loses itself, and it kind of loses pace because he starts off so boisterous and he's like, oh, check this out, everybody got to understand that all these people are going through shit, and I'm gonna show you guys exactly how and why. And then he gets to these parts where they're just like, now the album's ending and now I'm gonna rap about real shit, and it's like I like that, but at the same time it takes away from the impact that he had when he was talking about these rappers, talking about like the issues going on. That was my opinion of it. However, it does get made up for in 1985 intro to the fall off. Now let me tell you right now, I was under the impression this was a diss track, but I have flipped my position, and I will tell you why. And it doesn't have anything to do with the video that he dropped where he said this is not a diss. Because my friend and I were talking about this prior to that interview. But basically we were saying that I was saying it was a diss. He was saying that it wasn't. I said why? And his reasoning was that it's not a diss because he doesn't name any names in particular. And I said, well, that's true, but maybe he's dissing the entire industry. And he said, no, it's not a diss because it's not a diss on the names. It's not a diss at all. It's like a warning. And I am starting to see that he's right. I mean, he really is just trying to care for his friends. And I think that he considers these people, these other rappers, like, Lil Pump or whoever it is that dissed them. I don't even know who dissed them. Tekashi 69 or whatever. Maybe it was him. I don't know. I really don't know because I honestly don't. When it comes to beef, I don't like to feed into the beef because I don't like people beefing. I understand that it means money. People like beef and like talking about who won who. And everybody was talking about Meek Mill and Drake. But like at the end of the day, I don't like to see people fight because I like to see people like collab and stuff like that. I'd rather not have artists not be able to work with certain artists because of things. Like I want to see an A$AP Rocky and Travis Scott freaking court. Like why aren't they working together, man? They have such sick ass visions. If you look at the video for like Butterfly Effect and you look at LSD, it's like they could be best friends, man. I don't know what's going on. So I don't like I don't like it when people beef, and I don't like feeding into that, which is why I haven't really looked into this whole thing. But I understand it's very big. I just don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. So yeah, that's my thought on that. But I thought it was definitely a good track in which it's like informative, That's like J. Cole right now. He's like informative rap. And that's cool. I think that's awesome, man. Like informative rap, like no one does informative rap. No one does any rap that doesn't sound like very loud and like boisterous. I feel like he's one of the ones that's like he uses his chillness to his advantage, and this is one of those songs where he used it perfectly. It couldn't have been better. And I'll tell you what, I'll challenge anybody to come up with a rapper better than J. Cole that isn't named Earl Sweatshirt or Kendrick Lamar. Because as a pure lyricist, it takes so much to say things coherently, intelligently, and it takes so much to like wrap it all together in a thing that sounds pleasant. That is so hard, and J. Cole does that, and it's so coherent. I don't think anybody speaks as clearly as him. In terms of clarity, J. Cole is the GOAT. Because everybody can hear what he's saying so clearly, and that's a good thing. I think it's an underrated aspect of hip-hop. You know, when I talk to somebody who listens to, like, you know, rock and pop, it's like, well, you know, hip-hop, sometimes I can't understand what they're saying. It's like, yeah, I get you. And I'm trying to tell these guys, you know, you gotta say things a little more clearer sometimes. And I know I'm sounding like just like an old guy that wants to hear, like, you know, old, like, you know, Eric B and Rakim type stuff, but like it's not even like that, you know. Got him. Got him. So that's my thing. I'm like not like a huge hater of like that kind of era of stuff, but I definitely agree with people that say that like it's just not it's not as good as I think it could be, and I mean that in a good way. Like, I just think that, you know, it could be better. It could be better, and I think we could do better as a community in terms of making clear sounding music, and I think this was a good step in that direction, which is why overall I give K.O.D a solid 9 out of 10. And a lot of people have told me that it's too high, that the score's too damn high. Well, no, it's not. Okay? It's not. Damn it. I refuse to think that it is, and I'll tell you why. K.O.D is an important album. No one's rapping like this, no one's sounding like this, and no one's making this point. Look, bar none, I don't care who you think you are, how cool you are, bar none, young people are dying, and it's not fucking being talked about. Okay? Like, it's simple. I'm not here to even talk about, oh, is it, whoa, what the heck? I'm not even here to talk about, oh, is this rapper good? Is this rapper trash? Is new rap better than old rap? No, what I'm here to talk about is that there are kids that are dying, man, and like it's not cool. You can't, as far as I know, from what I've seen from the stories, Lil Peep died when he was given fake Xanax. Fake. It wasn't even real Xanax. It was fake. It was drugged, basically. The tweets are out there. You can see the message chain that was on Twitter. It was deleted from the existence, but I'm sure it's there. It's there. I mean, that's from what I heard. But more than anything, this happens on a much more global basis than people realize. You know, is that these kids are dying, man. And I don't like that. I don't think anybody's talking about it. And I think he deserves a 10, honestly, for talking about it, because no other rapper is making a song, or let alone a whole album. A whole concept on this. And on top of this, J. Cole has made it clear that this may not be all of the album. That we might get a deluxe edition that might even continue the story of Kill Edward. And I'm definitely waiting for it. I support everything that J. Cole does. This album is a 9 out of 10 when it comes to music. And a 10 out of 10 when it comes to just how important it is to like the genre. And you know what? If you think that I'm overrating it, then that's too bad. Because you know what, that's my opinion, and I truly think, I see it, and I think that this is something that we're going to be talking about. I think we're going to be talking about K.O.D. a lot more than we're going to be talking about, like, To Pimp a Butterfly, and that's just me. And they're both, like, equally important to the movement, because a lot of people don't realize that even though these guys are not protesters, they set the scene for the protesters. And I think that this is going to make some waves, and I think it is, but at the same time, I still feel like a lot of people are going to ignore the very fact that a lot of kids are still dying, and I got to appreciate J. Cole for going as far as to basically try, and it makes me really sad, you know, because like I don't want to see rappers die. I really don't. Like, it makes me really upset, and it makes me upset when I see like 16-year-olds like popping pills and stuff like that. You know, that's fine. You want to have fun, you know, that's fine. You want to have fun, that's fine. But like, you know, just control what you put in your body, because you can't just like do this stuff and then like live a functional life if you do it too much, you know. And it's like a lot of people are like, you know, man, this guy's just preaching, you know, think he's like self-righteous. I'm like, you know, think whatever you want. Think whatever you want. I personally do what I do, and I try to be the best I can. and I do it so that we can prosper. I try at least, you know. And at the same time, like, I just want to see more people live and prosper. So, K.O.D holds a very special place for me, and this is a very special review for me because it's my first, obviously. Thank you so much for watching. If you did watch, obviously, if you got to the end of this video, I give you props for, you know, caring about details. You know, I'll be doing a lot more of these. You know, make sure to subscribe if you guys like this. Make sure to like, dislike. If you disagree, tell me why you disagree, because I like talking about music, and I'll gladly talk to you about music any day of the week. So go ahead, add me on Twitter, Instagram, you know, and twitch.tv at OneStrongMan. I'm definitely available to talk music just about whenever. I actually have school until I don't have school until August, so I'm gonna be quite free, you know, in a good way. So if you guys want to hit me up, make sure you get add me on Twitter, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Oh god. And that'll be the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and this is OneStrongMan signing off. Thank you.